In high definition, simulcast on KGMB and KHNL. Live, local, connected at 5 o'clock. This is Hawaii News Now.
A tragedy on Lanai as a plane crashes and burns, killing 3 people. We begin tonight with the names of the victims as well as the 3 survivors of the crash.
Richard Dick Rooney, the owner of Maui Air, was piloting the plane, and Kathleen Kern and Tremaine Balberti are the 2 Maui Planning Department employees killed in the crash.
Doug Miller, Mark King, and James Giroux survived and are all hospitalized tonight here on Oahu. Maui County officials chartered the plane to bring the group home from a Lanai Planning Commission meeting.
But tragically, it went down shortly after takeoff at around 9:30 last night. We have team coverage of the crash with Tim Sakahara on Lanai and Lynn Kawano on Maui. Jim Mendoza will tell us all about the survivors of the crash, while Keoki Kerr has reaction from the family of one of the victims.
The scene of the crash remains active at this hour. The plane went down about a mile southeast of the Lanai airport. That's where we start our team coverage. Tim Sakahara joins us live from Lanai with the latest. Tim.
Well, Steph, there is still a police presence out here. As you can see, officers are keeping the perimeter of the crash site. However, there still aren't any federal investigators out here on scene. They are not expected to be out here today. Meanwhile, let's give you an idea of what it looks like out here near the crash scene. As you can see, there's not much out here but old, unused pineapple fields. The wreckage was so bad, you couldn't tell it was once a plane. It also caught fire on the ground, and it's considered a miracle anyone survived.
They heard a big explosion towards Mickey Basin area.
It's devastating. I couldn't hardly sleep last night. The families that are going to be impacted.
Construction crews with the Goodfellow Brothers Company came out with a bulldozer, making a path through the thick weeds and brush.
This is considered a remote area.
At noon, the somber moment when the bodies were recovered from the scene.
I don't think there's probably anybody that hasn't been touched by this, that know these people.
The locals know the victims because they often fly over for community meetings. Although last night they say one of the victims hasn't been there in a while.
I haven't seen her for 2 years at least. And I saw her last night and eyes lit up. And I said, "Hey, how you doing, sweetie?"
Never did they think that would be the last time they'd see her alive, and shudder to think what the other employees who didn't make the trip are feeling.
I can't imagine the guilt that must be. And it's not her fault. She's just lucky that she didn't come.
God must have an ultimate plan there.
Grief counselors will be on Lanai tomorrow for anyone needing some help. Now, residents also say last Wednesday's meeting was canceled because of some bad weather, but obviously last night's meeting went on as scheduled despite some 30-mile-an-hour gusts in the area. However, at this point, it's unknown if that played a factor. Reporting live from Lanai, Tim Sakahara, Hawaii News Now.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. The 2 passengers who died in the crash were employees of Maui County's Planning Department. Keoki Kerr is here now with more about these 2 women. Keoki?
Steph, we spoke to the family of one of the women who died in last night's crash, and we learned she wasn't originally scheduled to go to Lanai. That's 52-year-old Tremaine Balberti and her husband George. She'd been with Maui's planning department for more than 25 years as a secretary to various meetings and hearings. Her daughter says she was a loving person.
And she always was giving, loving. Anytime anybody was down, they'd go to her, and she'd just raise them up.
Daughter Malia Balberti is a zoning inspector and works with her mom in the same Maui department.
We live together, we go to work together, literally we drive together. We're in a separate office, but we're the same division.
In a sad twist of fate, her mother was not supposed to be on the plane that crashed. She had volunteered to go to Wednesday night's meeting to take the minutes for another employee who could not make it.
That was Ego of the Month.
How did you get that?
I was nice at school.
One of the things that made her mother the happiest was being a grandma to 5-year-old Giovanni, who won a Principal's Award at Kahului Elementary School today.
The last conversation I had with her on the phone, she told me, don't forget to shine his shoes. And I said, for what? So when he goes on stage, he has nice shoes and make sure he has nice pants and nice uniform. That's the last thing she said. to me.
For the last year, Tremaine Belberti has been preparing for her daughter's wedding, which is set for April.
She got my dress. She did my centerpieces. She did my decorations. She did everything. She just picked out her dress. So now, it's not going to be the same.
She says her father, George, is also devastated by the loss of his wife, who he met while they were students at Baldwin High School. The other Maui Planning Department employee killed in the crash was Kathleen Kern, a community planner and urban designer who'd been with the department for nearly 5 years.
Would folks in Lanai like to see more more smaller businesses established on the island by local people? And how would that happen?
Hawaii News Now shot this video of her at a community planning meeting in Lanai City a year ago. Maui's mayor called her a bright young planner.
The asset that is Lanai City it could be sold and marketed in-state and more than it is.
She would conduct meetings throughout the county asking for public input on sometimes controversial planning issues. According to her LinkedIn page, Kern attended college in Canada where she got 3 degrees and worked as a planner for the cities of Vancouver and Seattle before moving to Maui in 2009. And we'll hear from a colleague of the experienced and respected pilot, Dick Rooney, who also died in the crash, coming up at 6. Keoki Kerr, Hawaii News Now.
Keoki, thanks. 3 people survived the plane crash and are hospitalized tonight on Oahu. Jim Mendoza is live outside the Queens Medical Center with more on the injured. Jim.
Chris, this is where the 3 men are hospitalized tonight. We are told that they are suffering from burns and other injuries. Maui County officials would not officially identify the survivors until police complete their investigation. That was their word today. We confirmed their names through a number of sources. The 3 all work for Maui County government. They are Doug Miller, a long-range planner with Maui County's planning department, Mark King, a geographic information systems analyst with the planning department, and James Giroux, a deputy attorney for Maui's Corporation Council. Miller and King are listed in critical condition. Giroux is in serious condition. After the crash, emergency dispatch got a 911 call from a man who said that he had been in a plane crash. Dispatchers believe that was Giroux. He reportedly helped to get King and Miller away from the crash flames.
From what we've heard, it does sound like someone from our office did assist 2 members of planning. From my understanding, it's really heroic, so we're proud of him.
Giroux described the crash site to emergency responders and told them approximately where it was in relation to the airport. Maui's mayor sent a team of officials to Queens today to meet with the men and their families to, quote, help them get through the healing process. Earlier today, I spoke with James Giroux very briefly on the telephone, and he said this to me. He said, I'm okay right now. I'm going to live through this. Reporting live outside the Queens Medical Center, I'm Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Jim. The tragic news of the crash especially hit the Maui County family hard, some of them fighting back tears at a news conference this morning. Our Lynn Kawano is live on the Valley Isle with that part of the story. Lynn?
Stephanie, that's exactly it. People here describe the county community as a family. They say they're not just co-workers, they're close friends. Today at a press conference here in Wailuku, emergency personnel, the deputy director of the Planning Commission, and the mayor described the relationship between all of their employees. Grief counselors are offered as many of the workers chose to leave for the day to mourn. Even the mayor had to stop to collect himself during the press conference.
Well, we all get to work with each other. So, yeah, it's like family. Sorry. You know, we're a very small community, and everybody knows each other, everybody works with each other. Any kind of a loss like this really hits home.
Getting set up right now.
A very difficult day for everyone here in the county. The mayor's ball is scheduled for tomorrow night in Wailea. It's a big fundraiser, and I'm told that event will go on, but I'm told it will now be scaled back. There might even be a small table there accepting donations for the families. Reporting live in Wailuku, I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you very much, Lynn. And this, of course, is the second deadly plane crash in Maui County in just the last 2 months. Once again, dedicated public servants are among the victims. On December 11th, a Makanikai airplane went down off Kalaupapa, Molokai with 9 people aboard. One of them was State Health Director Loretta Fuddy. The 65-year-old died of a cardiac arrhythmia or irregular heartbeat due to stress while waiting to be rescued after the crash. Governor Abercrombie honored Fuddy along with the Lanai victims at the state capitol today.
Of course, grieving is hardly the word for it. There's a recognition that sometimes we pay a price more than just professional, more than just in terms of commitment. And so our hearts go out to their families and to the community.
Maui's political delegation also spoke today, offering their condolences and wishes for a quick recovery for those who survived.
I'm devastated for the loss of life on Lanai and for this very tragic event for Maui County. Our county is made up of 4 islands, and we depend on air travel for government to operate. It's even more tragic that we've had 2 plane crashes with government officials in a period of about 3 months.
I know that the community and all of us, our hearts go out to the folks that passed, their families, friends, and co-workers, as well as wanting a very speedy recovery for the 3 that are over here in Queens in serious and sometimes critical condition.
What about the safety history of the type of aircraft involved in this latest crash? The plane was a twin-engine Piper Chieftain. Rick Desog will have details on the model's crash history in Hawaii coming up new at 6 on KGMB.
And stay with Hawaii News Now for continuing coverage of this deadly plane crash. We will have another live report from our crews on Lanai and Maui coming up at 5:30 on KHNL. And at any time, you can go to hawaiinewsnow.com or our Facebook page for the latest on the investigation of this tragedy.
Better care, better health, and lower costs.
That's the crux of the governor's new health care initiative. And new tourism spending figures are released with a continuing trend. But first, how's the weather guy?
Well, I'll tell you what, this approaching front will bring a host of weather changes, including gusty Kona winds and maybe even some heavy rain. In fact, the weekend could be quite soggy in some areas. I'll have the weekend outlook in a few minutes. For now, let's go to Danielle Tucker with the latest on traffic.
Thank you very much, Guy. We got a couple of problem areas. First in Aiea. This is Kamehameha Highway approaching Maunalua Freeway on-ramp or Pearl Harbor going eastbound direction. What is happening is Hawaii Gas is doing emergency repair work. The 2 right lanes are blocked up. We've got very heavy stop-and-go traffic through Aiea. Right here by Polimomi, it's backed up from Kaunohi. I don't have a camera on the H3 to show you, but there's a major problem inside the Harano Tunnel. They're still about halfway done cleaning up a hydraulic fluid spill. It stretches the entire length of the tunnel, and the right lane is closed. So we're backed up all the way into Kaneohe coming town-bound. They hope to be done, but they've got to do a very good cleanup to prevent any further accidents from happening on the H3. That's Halava-bound. Avoid it. From the City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker with Crater 96.3 for Hawaii News Now. You're watching Hawaii News Now at 5. We'll be back right after this with more news.
Live, local, connected at 5 o'clock. You're watching Hawaii News Now with Stephanie Lum and Chris Tanaka.
Honolulu police have opened a negligent homicide investigation tonight.
That's after a 71-year-old woman was killed after getting hit by a city garbage truck. It happened a little before 6 this morning on Gulick Avenue in Kalihi. Authorities say the woman, who was apparently walking to work nearby, was in a marked crosswalk. We're told the 57-year-old garbage truck driver told police she didn't see the victim. Police say speed and alcohol are unlikely factors, but visibility may be an issue.
A Hilo man is accused of intentionally hitting another man twice with an SUV. Clifford Marler is charged with 9 offenses, including assault. Police say the incident happened earlier this month in a parking structure on Hualani Street. The 49-year-old victim was flown to the Queens Medical Center for treatment. Police say their investigation led to Marler's arrest yesterday.
Kauai County says it's hired a Honolulu law firm to defend it against a lawsuit challenging the Garden Isle's new GMO law. The county says McCorriston Miller Mukai McKinnon LLP will represent it against the lawsuit filed by 4 biotech seed companies. The new law regulates the use of pesticides and the growing of GMO crops by large agricultural businesses.
Governor Neil Abercrombie unveiled a comprehensive plan to improve health care statewide today, one that focuses on improving costs and quality. Through federal grant funding, stakeholders from across the state spent the past 6 months creating a roadmap to help Hawaii achieve the triple aim of better care, better health, and lower costs. But local officials say there's a fourth component they want to focus on as well: reducing health disparities.
We don't want to forget those very important populations who are not enjoying that good health. That certainly includes a disproportionate number of Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. We're also concerned about the increasing number of people who have chronic diseases.
Officials want to help high-risk individuals by establishing Medicaid health homes and community care networks. Hawaii presented its plan along with 15 other states to the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation, which will select 5 states to fund anywhere from $20 to $60 million to implement their plans.
Hanauma Bay reopened today after crews fixed a broken water pipe last night. The break cut off water service at the beach's restrooms Tuesday afternoon, and that forced the city to close the area.
Tourism officials say for the 5th straight month, visitor spending is down in Hawaii. Travelers to our state spent nearly 5% less last month than they did the same period a year earlier. The Hawaii Tourism Authority says fluctuating exchange rates, growing competition, and the increasing cost of a Hawaiian vacation all contributed to the spending drop.
Coming up next, were you in on The Secret?
If so, you got to see one of the country's most popular bands playing on Maui. We're going to tell you all about it. In the meantime, a live look outside. It's gorgeous now, but is it going to stay that way? Guy Hagi's full weather forecast is up next.
From Hawaii's severe weather team, this is Hawaii Weather Now with Guy Hagi.
Hello and good evening. Changes in the air. This approaching front already kicked out the trade winds, and we've got these southerly winds coming up. You know what that means? Higher humidity levels, also some haze and some fog through tomorrow. Now, this front obviously is getting closer, and by tomorrow we could see some rain. The potential for heavy rain is there as well, but there's still some uncertainty with the forecast and with heavy rain and where and if it's going to come. You can see there are some clouds pulling up from the south. Already those increased humidity levels are very evident. You can go outside and feel them. So it's going to feel much warmer tonight than it was last night. It was a cold one last night, and you can see right now it's just not much rain. But the futurecast is showing that rain is likely to show up later tonight, early tomorrow morning for Kauai, and then in the afternoon, Oahu likely to get some showers as that front gets closer. But these showers are prefrontal showers ahead of the front itself. The front itself due in probably sometime Saturday morning for Kauai, moving on to Oahu by late Saturday, and this front expected to move slowly. Now, if the rain comes and if the model is correct, some of these showers could present some problems, because if it moves very slowly, that allows for higher rainfall accumulations, could lead to flooding. So we got to keep an eye on this situation. So a few showers tonight should be relatively dry, and we're going to see some comfortable temperatures out there. But keep in mind, with the southerly winds, humidity levels will be higher. Now, tomorrow is going to be much different than today, in that we're going to get hazy skies. It's going to be breezy at times. Southerly winds blowing 10 to 15 with some stronger gusts, and that means windward sides will see gusts in excess of 20 miles an hour. Could present some problems for them too. Now, the North Shore is down to 6 to 8, so still pretty good size, solid sets. And with those southerly winds, conditions will finally clean up in the country. 3 to 5 down on the west side. All this side, though, is going to be choppy, sloppy, and beat up. Better conditions on the east shore. Now, we are expecting a huge swell, eddy-sized swell, coming into the country Saturday night and Sunday. The only problem is on Sunday, we've got some stormy conditions and westerly winds, which means stormy conditions for that big swell, and that's why the eddy has been canceled this time around. We'll have to wait for next winter. So we've got some southerly winds tomorrow, a few showers, not a whole lot. The brunt of the rain expected in sometime Saturday in through Sunday. drier conditions, cooler temperatures, better air quality due back on Monday.
All right, Guy, thanks. Hey, an unexpected treat for people on Maui. The band Maroon 5 performed a private concert last night at the Grand Wailea Hotel. We're told it was put on for employees of software giant SAP.
Wow, what a treat. But some locals even got word of it, gathered on the public beach, and they got a pretty good view of Adam Levine right here and his bandmates. Stick around, we'll be right back.
Finally tonight, a Brazilian tourist has quite the story to tell.
Oh yeah, during his trip to Bali, a cheeky monkey stole his video camera to take a selfie. It all happened back in January. Ailton Schomburger was visiting the Uluwatu temple when he decided to film himself feeding the monkeys.
Uh-oh, that's when one of them grabbed his camera before running off with it into the forest. So you can see the little guy ends up taking a selfie or two with the camera. The monkey eventually let go of the camera once a helpful member of the temple staff gave it a piece of fruit, and obviously the camera was recovered.
Yeah, he was just monkeying around. But more news at 5:30 on KHNL.